And scene is set for another game in Perth. Once more, Leon Harris is meeting with one of the Primogen. And they're meeting in his back room that has several mystical items, many of which are for show, many of which are not. And he's currently sitting across the table from Hannibal. Like so.
Hannibal would sit there in his usual old rugs. They're a bit smelly, but seems to be all that he has.
So, a couple things I wanted to discuss with you before the Primogen Council meeting, and I've already talked to some of the other Primogen, and some of the others I haven't had a chance to yet.
Well, there's a few things we should go over, probably, and without the rest.
First off, as far as council business goes, one, I'm inclined to give the Gangrel a seat on the Primogen Council. Because as it currently stands, there are more Gangrel in the city on an individual basis than there are, say, Bruja, or Ventru, or even Malkavians.
Huh.
And I think also than Toreador, unless there's some Toreador that have moved in that I haven't heard about yet. So, that said, from what I've seen and heard about all of the Gangrel in the city, they're actually doing a good job. I think they should have a seat on the Primogen Council.
Well, but as I understand it, didn't the Gangrel leave the Camarilla?
Some of them did, yes. Not all of them. Basically, one Archon decided to flip the Inner Council of the Bird and say, I'm leaving and taking my friends with me.
Hell of a guy.
But a number of the rest of them stayed. And when it comes down to it, the Gangrel, only a few of them really cared about the Camarilla anyways to begin with. Those are the ones that usually ended up holding Primogen seats, or at the very least representing their clan. The usual state of affairs for most Gangrel was, oh yeah, I showed up in town. Hi Prince, I'm here. I'll be here for a few weeks before I head out. By the way, I ran into something weird east of town. You might want to send someone to check it out.
Yeah, but hey, that's how the gang will do their business. No, who's denying them that? But giving them a Primogen seat is a big deal for them. Have they earned it?
Well, let's see. From what I've heard about the Grasshoppers, which have 2 Gangrel, they've actually acquitted themselves fairly well. And from what I've seen of Creed, he's definitely been of some aid to the city. Basically, at this point, they're all effectively members of the Camarilla, and this is, as it were, acknowledging that.
But giving a Primogen... Oh, I'm sorry I interrupted you, my friend.
I'm going to say, if this runs into, say, heavy opposition, then I think at the very least they should have a voice on the council, if not a vote.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm inclined to at least give them a vote. When it comes down to it, they are the most apolitical clan out there.
What is the vote good for them then?
It gives them a voice. It gives them it gives them a voice that is more than just, oh hey, we would like this. It gives them a voice that actually carries a bit of weight.
Ah, the illusion of choice. I like it.
Exactly. And when it comes down to it, if enough people oppose them, I could easily. I don't really. With the current setup of Primogen, I'm not certain what the voting bloc is likely to be.
I would say in favor of good policies.
Well, okay, yes, that's mainly because we have a few level-headed people on there. As such, and I don't see the Gangrel as really opposing level-headed policies.
But I don't know, my prince. You've already been around. You haven't been in the council by then, but there was the problem with an Autarchus gangrel outside of town not too long ago.
Who was also most likely not a gangrel.
How do we know?
Um, Actually, I believe we will be getting confirmation sometime in the next few months from Mr. Duda. He's, there is a, a very useful ritual that the Tremere have access to that I've seen used before.
What? Pardon my curiosity, my prince, but what makes you think he wasn't a gangrel? Looked like quite the gangrel to me.
I heard a number of details about some of his Gould dogs that strongly suggest that this was a Shamasei.
Oh, no. Oh, not more of those.
Well, as far as we can tell, there aren't any more. That was the one. But then again, from what I've also heard, he was around the city even before the Anarchs took over.
Well, that's what he said, at least.
That actually was supported by someone who had been in the city before the Anarchs took over. That being Victor Creed.
Well, I just want to point out there might be people who are a bit distrustful towards the clan as a whole after this.
So, yeah,
He kind of made the Bruja Primogen go a bit cuckoo.
well,
But then again, the guy was an idiot, so what you want to do about it?
wait, the current? You mean Creel or previous?
No, the previous. What was his name? Big tough guy, army boots.
Oh, right. No, Stoneheart.
Yeah.
Stoneheart was very, very young.
Oh yeah.
About how young he was, he had served in Afghanistan in the most recent war.
Well, it's still going on.
Yeah, I know, but that thing's been going on for over a decade.
Yeah, but still. Well, I'm just pointing out the obvious here. Giving someone a Primogen seat is easy. Getting rid of a Primogen seat is very hard.
Well, that's the thing. I have Creed is the most likely person to take it, and I think he'll actually fill a position well. But he still has to have the full support of his clan, which at this point is the other two members of his clan are in a coterie together. So it's entirely possible he wouldn't end up Primogen.
Unpredictability, I'd like that.
Well, yes, but when it comes down to it, I don't see the Gangrel as being a political powerhouse here.
No, they're not. But,
So,
that being said, the gang will have a tendency to do business amongst them anyway, no matter what official policies are. So, pardon if I'm asking, but I fail to see the benefit for you.
well, among other things, it makes the Gangrel feel more invested in the city. It makes them feel as if they actually have a say in what happens. Because, well, some of the Gangrel may not care about that. When you have one Gangrel who does care about that, that one Gangrel can cause a lot of problems.
True enough, I suppose.
Something I have seen in other cities as well.
Do you want me to check the other gangrel out a bit before you make your choice?
Well, choice for what? As far as Primogen choices go, that's an internal clan matter.
Well, no, I'm not meaning who's going to be the Primogen, but let's say the other two are more of the troublesome kind, the brawlers and bruisers, that kind of stuff.
Well, honestly, I've met one of them, the fledgling, and he's he at least understands basic politeness.
I'm gonna make a perception empathy roll
Sure.
to see if that was a hint at Hannibal, you're a fucking pig.
Actually, wasn't.
I'm gonna make one anyway.
No. Go ahead and roll.
Yeah. That is 4 successes if difficulty is 6, unless you want to oppose it.
Nah. Yeah. Yeah, he was basically talking like.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't the wink, wink, wink Hannibal.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay. Oh, that's all I need now.
Let's see here. Besides that, obviously there's the various court positions. Currently, as I see it, there are 3 court positions that need to be filled. Here's my current inclination for each of them. For Seneschal, you're right now at the top of the list.
That is very I'm very grateful for that. I would not disappoint you.
One thing I would recommend, though, is that you be a bit more discreet in attempting to read the minds of people around, say, certain clans noted for their perception.
Oh, that old story. I'm just a bit over curious at times. You have to forgive.
No, I fully understand what. Well, okay, I understand part of what you were going after there, but when it comes down to it, I know Clan Tremere can be a bit hinky about people going into their minds uninvited.
I thought like they ever invite anyone.
At times they do.
Really?
Yes, that usually requires a personal friendship.
Yeah, and lowered pants, I imagine.
With some
it's a joke. Don't.
No, I got it. It's just...
No, absolutely. I mean, I can be polite if I want to, and you actually kind of sit straight for a moment.
Well, actually, to be perfectly honest, as Seneschal, you should behave with a certain amount of decorum, but don't go too far. It's honestly, I've seen a lot of Prince Seneschal things where one of them, where it's essentially good cop, bad cop. I'm not that good at playing bad cop, but you could do that fairly well.
He actually, for a moment, looks to the floor as if he wants to spit on it, but then politeness gets the better of himself. Oh, I can certainly do that. People find it hard not to tell me what they want to tell me. Now,
for the position, 2 other positions I think we need to fill right away. Those being Keeper of Elysium and Scourge.
Absolutely.
Keeper of Elysium, I've had several people suggest to me that Rafat would actually do very well in that position.
I'm certain he would do quite well. But then again, do people really want to trust their safety to the Tremere?
Well, to be perfectly honest, when it comes to the matter of Elysium, I've yet to meet a single Tremere who was not later hunted down by his clan that did not respect Elysium.
That is true, I suppose. It is, though, giving the Tremere quite something to work with.
Yes, but even despite the previous prince's shortcomings, Clan Tremere is a useful asset to the Camarilla and to our city.
Oh, I can't argue with that.
And therefore, giving them at least a position will among other things, help them save face.
Yeah, they gotta be heartbroken after what happened.
Well, two of their... I mean, there was already certain amounts of face saving, but it was fairly obvious why the prince and musketeers both left.
Well, it's not a big secret.
Yeah, but and finally for Scourge, I've been going through the people that have been here for a little while, but the only person that has been here a while that I think really has the majority of the skills needed to work well as Scourge is Valiente.
That is indeed a good choice. I have to admit, I came here with the intent of persuading you to that.
Well, hey, it's consider it already persuaded.
Yeah, he will. He's discreet. I know the Scourge is not a position a lot of people actually want to do, but he will do great.
Oh, he'll do it very well. Keep in mind, some of the stuff I was doing during the when we took the city was acting as spotter for him.
Oh Jesus! Have you been in his head?
What was that?
Have you been in his head?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't. That's not a nice place to be.
Well, to be perfectly honest, there are very few who it is a nice place to be in their head.
Oh, mine's a pretty nice place.
Well, I'll take your word for that at the moment.
Another thing, I hope, my prince, you don't want to make the trench Elysium.
No. That the trench was never intended to be Elysium. To be perfectly honest, Elysia, in every city I've been in, have been a place of local culture.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
In fact, one place that I've heard being suggested as a possible Elysium site was actually the casino that used to be part of Grace Martin's domain.
Oh, the Crown of Perth. That's an excellent choice, my prince.
Well, the details would, of course, fall to the Keeper of Elysium, but I think it would probably do fairly well.
Yeah, well, I think so as well. It's nice, I suppose. Lots of and safe.
Yes. Now,
As for Grace Martin, though,
yes, we still need to talk with baggers and... Well, I could represent both my clan and the city and do well by both. I'd probably like to get James in for that meeting.
why? The poor boy is traumatized enough. You made it quite clear he doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
Oh, no, it's just about talking about details. Among other things, from what I've heard, her ghoul has actually been taken under someone's wing, so that might involve a minor boon offered to, say, the Nosferatu.
Who's taken her ghoul under his wings?
From what I heard, it was the sheriff.
Oh, coincidence? I think not.
Well,
Clan Nosferatu isn't interested in lots of her asset, but what we are interested in is some of her resources. We are currently in the process of rebuilding the ruins after they have been sadly destroyed.
No, I remember the explosion.
Did it feel warm?
It was wet.
Yeah, after the scene down there, I can imagine was quite the thing.
But yeah, that was mostly handled by Clan Nosferatu. I helped on a few occasions, largely because, well, it's occasional. When you've got two people going up against each other, and both of them have obfuscate, and neither of them have aspects. It's kind of a deadlock.
Yeah, I can imagine the tunnel fights must have been horrible, to be honest. Actually, Hannibal looks a bit melancholic and sad.
As fortunately, well, dealing with the anarchs of my clan was relatively simple.
In what way?
Let's just say that the ones who had a better signal-to-noise ratio could see which way the wind was blowing.
Oh. Well, Clan Malkavian was always smart when it came to that.
Oh, yes. We've got our own little methods of dealing with certain things.
Yeah, I imagine it's always nicer to see your brothers leave the battlefield before you have to kill them.
Yes, when that is the option. But of course, there's always going to be idiots.
Oh, well, idiots never make it too long.
I wish that were always the case.
And sometimes we just have to deal with them, but...
Yeah, but yeah. So you're mostly wanting access to her resources.
Oh, at least part of it. If
For that,
we
for
find...
that we'll have to talk with Bagger about it. And the idea that was tossed to me, which was making her former domain essentially joint domain of the Malkavians and the Nosferatu. I understand that due to the high number of cameras in there, not all the Nosferatu would necessarily enjoy it. But there's a trick I've heard of wearing a physical mask under Mask of a Thousand Faces.
That is a thing. To be honest, the Clan Nosferatu do not need a domain above ground. We happily give that to you, my prince. If you want it.
Well,
now, if it turns out that Miss Martin's assets are not what we expect them to be, Clan Sword would also be very content with just gaining a boon or two from the loot.
that seems reasonable. We'll, like I said, we'll grab quite probably shortly after the council meeting. I'll grab you and James and Bagger, and we'll hash out the details.
Yeah, that'd be best. So no one's left out.
Exactly. So Scourge is taken care of. Keeper's taken care of. There are a couple other positions that I think would be useful to think about in the long term, but aren't. We need them right now. One of them that was suggested to me by Rafat was the position of Chancellor.
I can imagine he would have his eyes on that. Yes, who did he suggest?
He actually said that he would like that himself, if either in addition to or instead of Keeper of Elysium. But that was not something that's something that I view as a useful position, but not immediately necessary.
No, I think we can go for a while without a Chancellor. To be honest,
that said, it is useful to have someone who records who owes boons to who.
I think the Senescal would be able to do that in the short term, at least.
No, that seems reasonable. The other position that we should consider is Warden. It's not a position it's a position that's usually found in cities that have contested borders, but in our case, considering how often we seem to have, well, Shamasei masquerading as Gangrel wandering into the city, and now we've got Nagaraja, and we wouldn't have found out about the Harbinger if I hadn't gone looking for something else. Um,
Hmm.
it would be useful to have someone who patrols the borders and checks for people who shouldn't be there. Technically, that part of that is the Scourge's job, but really most of what the Scourge does is, as it were, executioner when needed and boogeyman when not.
Well, maybe one of the Gangu would like to take up that job.
Yes, that's actually what I was thinking. From what I've heard, some of the actions that the Grasshoppers have been doing are already in that general direction.
Hmm. And I'm
So,
pretty sure Mr. Creel, I hope that was the Gangu's name, out of
Creed.
character. Creed. Alright.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Creed, he looks like a tough guy to me.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, if he has the Primogen position and then one of the others holds the Warden position, I think that would be probably a good distribution of power among the clan.
Hmm. Oh, maybe they don't even want it, who knows?
Who knows? But I think in general, Clan Gangrel is suited for that position.
Oh, they like to wander around and bark at the moon, don't they?
Well, sometimes. But yeah,
What are we going to do about the Nagaraja in general?
um,
I can try and scout ahead a bit if you want me to, my
oh
prince.
no, if you wish to scout ahead, do so. Be aware that sometimes ghosts can see through obfuscate.
Well, I wasn't. He smiled, so I wasn't planning to go there physically.
I didn't
After
realize.
all, they eat people.
Oh yes, I wasn't realize you were that gifted at aspects yet.
I picked a trick up or two along the way. I
Oh.
found it rather useful when you're surrounded by people who don't like to show their true intentions.
um, but yes, no. If you want to scout out, that said, even in that form, I've heard stories of ghosts that can see and even attack your body of light. So
Really?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it myself.
Man, I gotta,
I, I'm,
gotta.
I'm, I'm just warning you to be cautious.
No, I will be. Wouldn't
I
be
mean,
good at my job if I wasn't.
we lost actually a very promising Toreador to a wereshark because he was less cautious than he should have been.
Hannibal raises an eyebrow, or what you think probably was an eyebrow before the transformation. Pardon me? A were shark?
Yeah.
Forgive my ignorance, but what the hell is a were shark?
You now know as much as I do.
How? What? Hannibal kind of looks. What? Do it? No, that's silly. Do we?
There's certain parts of the ocean that I would avoid, especially if you find that the fish tend to avoid that position.
Oh no, I'm never gonna go swim again.
But no, I was able to, fortunately, at the time I was able to get some details. We were able to prevent a masquerade breach. Um,
Huh.
but
God.
as far as I can tell, these things can teleport or have some other method of traveling that doesn't leave any scent.
God damn it.
Yeah.
That makes.
That teleporting weresharks, isn't that great?
Hannibal tries to smile. I'm not sure. Considering he lives in the sewers.
Yeah.
I think I need to relocate some of my possessions.
Sharks are usually mostly found saltwater, but, well, the...
Well, if they can teleport, pardon me if I don't really take
No.
biology too
I
serious.
fully understand that. As far as I can tell, the Toreador's house was actually not that far from the crown. So...
Huh. Does the future keeper of Elysium know about that?
Yes, he does. He was He was there when we were investigating the situation.
Well, shucks. Well, that is certainly good to know. Another reason to avoid the ocean.
Yes. Um, so at some point we'll probably be able to piece together what he found out, and we'll simply post an advisory to everyone to stay out of that section of the ocean.
I have a request, my prince, if I may so.
Certainly.
Clan Nosferatu has suffered some losses.
Yes, you have.
With your permission, I would like to give a call out to a few friends of mine to see if they don't want to relocate to Perth.
Oh, no, that's perfectly fine. When it comes down to it, I have actually, through a few channels open to me, expressed that among other things I would like to see a few more Nosferatu and Bruja in the city.
Oh, I can only agree with that.
Also, a few more Malkavians. I think the Tremere are about at a good point for them.
Oh yeah.
We've actually got a decent number of Gangrel running around now. I've even offered, if one of them wishes it, I think it might be useful to have, say, a single member of the Assamites in the city.
Is that really wise? I don't think they can be trusted.
Some of them have joined the Camarilla.
Mm. The wolf doesn't want the sheep to know he's there.
Well, let me put it this way. We've got some shepherds here.
Hmm. Well, if you think it's wise, my prince, I will support you in that.
Well, I think it's useful, and what's more, even the Vossier thought it would be useful to have one or two of them.
But we have to question the wisdom of de Lavoisier at times.
We do, but in this, I think he had. The Assamites can be a useful tool, but they can also be a liability, which is why I'm limiting their numbers to a single one.
Yeah.
One
will be hard enough to keep track of.
Also, hopefully we can get some Toreador that will, well, improve their overall value.
Yeah, one can never have too many Toreador in a city. Out of character, no empathy roll required to see leading sarcasm.
Oh, yeah. Well, in any case, but yeah, no, fortunately there are a couple things I can, even with a strong Primogen Council, there are definitely a number of things that are a prince's prerogative.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is why I felt perfectly reasonable in recognizing the Harbinger's domain and right to be in the city.
Well, to be honest, there wasn't really any alternative except for fighting him, and what good would that have done us?
Oh, if we had Istvan and the sheriff with us, we might have had a chance. With the numbers we had there, we were outmatched.
That's kind of scary.
I may not remember all of the practical skills from my military training, but tactical skills remain tactical skills.
Yeah. Well, then, to be honest, the man, woman, the skeleton, the harbinger, seemed perfectly reasonable. I see no reason why not to accept his offer, even he was a bit overly generous, though.
No, and some of his story has also checked out. Apparently, Lavoisier was wanting to get some to confirm some of his story, and that confirmation ended up being passed on to me. So
Oh,
that he, among other things, was known to the Prince of Cairo.
oh. Well, let's just hope he moves on after the Nagaraja are dealt with and he keeps his end of the bargain.
Oh yeah, no, I think he will. I think, and to be perfectly honest, I think having two members of the court taught the Sepulchre Path in exchange for not having any Giovanni in the city, I
Oh,
have no problem with that. Uh, I'm,
well, let's be honest, who wants Giovanni in their cities?
People have to deal with annoying ghosts.
Well, we have our own people for that then.
Exactly. I'm not certain what abilities specifically the Sepulchre Path will allow, but if he thinks it's a appropriate uh, exchange for the Giovanni, and I think he's probably got a better idea of how necromancy works than the rest of us. It's probably a good deal. But this is something that would have to go to a council vote.
No, of course.
Um,
Any idea who those members of the court are supposed to be already?
Most likely, what we'll end up doing is we'll end up handing it out to people who distinguish themselves in helping drive out the Nagaraja.
Oh, that makes a perfect amount of sense.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, I myself have some interest in that, but politically it might be better to hand it to other people, at least at the start.
Or at least people you can trust.
And then people who'd be willing to teach it to me.
Oh, I never. No, let's not go there.
But, um, but yeah. Um, and that. Okay, I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to, and I've also heard back from the Ventry Primogen that he's ready to meet. So,
Oh, give him my regards, would you?
oh,
And it 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 would be very nice if you could tell him that I need to see him as well. He seems to be rather hard to get a grip on, really.
he's. Let's just say that he's actually, in a number of ways, one of the stereotypes of Ventry. As in, he's
Um,
really good at the finance end of things.
oh, I hope he's also a stereotypical Benjamin to the good side of the clan.
No, actually, some of the Ventry stereotypes I've run into, that is the good side. Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
all right, I'll see you around, Hannibal.
Yes, I will contact you immediately when I learn something about the Nagaraja. It's on my top of my list now.
All right, and
And with that, Hannibal will just get up and bow
yep,
and stumble out of the room.
and end scene.